Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Professor Chaz, and I am very happy to have this, because I grew up on the 90s X-Men cartoon, and X-Men's where it's at as far as I'm concerned in the Marvel Universe. They're my favorite characters overall, as far as different groups of characters. I still like Iron Man a whole bunch. Anyway, I'm very happy to finally have a Professor Xavier in his yellow hover round, and it's not bad. It's a decent enough release. There's some things we need to talk about though, because obviously you're going to be spending money on this, and that's what reviews are for. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. So this guy sits about, including the floaty thing at the bottom, about 17 centimeters, which makes him just about 6.5 inches, which is funny because if you take him out and measure him, it's about the same height. So I just thought that was fun. It's not actually funny. I'm just weird. But actually, he's 6.25 inches tall. Anyway, we'll set the chair aside for now. This is the old suited body, which is a fine thing for him. It's a better suited body than the new one, because the new one looks terrible. But it's not bad. I like it for the most part. Aesthetically speaking, it is what it should be. Still has kind of weird feet, but that's okay. It has wrinkles which are appropriate for what it should look like, so that's nice. The tie is well done, though it hangs a little bit to the side. And then the head, which is the most important part for this guy. It doesn't look anywhere near as bad as some people suspected it might when we first saw the original release of this guy, the original info release, I guess I should say, where he had giant, thick caterpillar eyebrows. Yes, they're supposed to be big and heavy, I understand that, but they seemed even bigger in those original photos. So, this is good. I do think, personally, let me grab the box again real quick, because this is how it was drawn in the cartoon, and this is how they did it even for the box art. I personally really like the extra bend in the eyebrow. To me, that is classic Xavier, whereas these eyebrows are just really big eyebrows. They don't have that particularly unique look to them. It's obviously not a big deal, but it would have been nice if it had the zigzag in it. I think it would have been a nice little nod to that artwork. But it's okay, we have the green suit, white shirt, and blue and black tie, so that's all fine. Most people are not going to care about this so much because he's going to be in here anyway. So let's talk about this. It's done pretty well. The metallic gold is good enough. It does have a tiny little bit of paint on it to keep it from looking too bland. And then we have some extra pieces in here that we have to actually assemble. So we have the greenish, grayish, bluish color in here, and then we have his little grandma blanket in there too. So it's not bad. It looks all right. The floaty thing down here is translucent with some white shading on it. It does come off if you want to use your own thing so that you don't constantly have a blast of whooshing air underneath him, but personally I don't really care. Screw it. It's just easy enough to just leave it in there. So you can take it off if you want to, but it looks fine. And then these guys do have some paint on the inside here. So aesthetically speaking, this guy is about as good aesthetically speaking as it can get, except for one thing. One thing bugs me a lot about this, and that's the hand usage. The hand usage in this figure. That's not the hand he uses. That's not the pose he makes. Okay? He does this. His hand's out. It's always out. I'll grab the box again. I've got to stop throwing it so far away. This is the pose I wanted for him, right here. And they came close to it, but it's not the right hand pose. So that bothers me. The instant transmission hand is fine, but this pose in particular, it just loses a little bit of luster. So that bums me out a little bit. And since the eyebrows aren't what I wanted them to be, that's purely subjective. Kind of. It's half subjective. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Could have given him a 9 easy if we had the hand fixed, and maybe even a 10 if we had the hand and the eyebrows. But as it is a nice looking set. Let's see if I can actually put this stuff so that it's in focus. But it definitely looks nice enough. Now it's time to talk about the accessories. Well, we're not going to count the chair because that's just weird. So we have 3 accessories. We have one which is Cerebro, which fits on his head nicely. That's fine. I personally am not going to keep him in wearing Cerebro all the time, but if you wanted to, you could. Cerebro works well enough. And then Cerebro has a peg hole in the back so that you can connect this swooshy thing of milk on his head, which it just doesn't. I'm not buying it. I get what it's supposed to be, and it's not necessarily a bad look, but it's just I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It makes me wonder though why we don't have something similar to this for a Spider-Man yet. Why don't we have any spider sense effects to go over his head with the little like triangular ziggy-zag lines. That'd be cool, but we don't have that. And then lastly, we have a Shadow King. That's the name, right? Shadow King? I think that's the name. Head, which is gorgeous. It is lovely. I mean, it's ugly, but it's lovely. The shading from the gray to the flesh tone is perfectly done. The mouth is perfectly painted. The black lines around the eyes are perfectly painted. The little weird glasses, they fit on his head, they can come off. Those are really nicely done. The eyes are painted well. The hat is good. It's gorgeous. I do wish we had the hands to go with it so that Kingpin had the face and the hands, but it's still pretty cool. It's an awesome head. That's one of the best things they've produced, honestly. So that's very cool. So accessory wise, 7 out of 10. I mean, we got some accessories. They're reasonable, so that's fine. Okay, let's talk about the... I mean, I guess I can do the articulation before I put him in the chair and show you some issues there, but it doesn't really matter. So the head's on a ball hinge, or a hinge with a ball peg, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can word. It moves around nicely. It fits on the neck nicely. It works well. Look at that. No lollipop, and it still has good range. Hasbro, you've outdone yourself. Look at that. Very nice. Shoulders... Nah, they're kind of garbage. Don't really go out to the side. They do rotate. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow is fine. Wrists are on a swivel and a hinge. Ab crunch, we have it and it works. That's fine. Waist twist is fine. Hips do go forward. No problem at all. They don't really go back out to the side. About 45. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. Ankle, it does go back a little bit. These are really ugly shoes, but you're not going to see them most of the time anyway. They don't really go forward. They do have a really nice ankle rocker though, or swivel hinge. So all in all, it's a really nice figure. Now here's the thing about putting it inside the hover round. You go ahead and put him in the hover round. You want to probably bend his legs a little bit first so that it goes in properly. And it's not exactly a difficult process. One thing bugs me just a little bit about this process, and that is the fact that the jacket is asymmetrical. It sticks down farther on one side than the other. It sticks down farther right here, so it tends to make the figure want to lean in the seat. And I don't know, I mean, it's not a big deal obviously, but I'd rather he not lean. It's not a big deal, but I want to point that out because I noticed, I was like, why can I not? I kept taking him out and looking at his legs and trying to get him to sit square, but he kept leaning over to the side, and I don't want that, but whatever. So then you go ahead and put this thing in, and that hides his legs. And so here's the other thing that bugs me about this. It doesn't really look too small, the chair, but I think it is technically a little bit too small because his arms don't really fit on it properly. Like, it's just a little bit awkward. It's not a big deal, and I probably won't ever notice it outside of me looking it over for the review, but it's just slightly, maybe a little bit too small. He seems kind of out of place in it, because typically speaking, in the cartoon and in the comics, as far as I've ever seen, the chair's fairly substantial, and this is more along the lines of just a big wheelchair as opposed to a giant floaty thing, so it's not a big deal, but it's worth mentioning. And then you can of course do your instant transmission pose like that, and stick your not quite the right hand pose out to the side like that, and there you go. There's Professor Xavier. And I'm very happy with it. On a subjective level, I'm very pleased. Objectively, there are, like I said, a few things that I would definitely prefer to be different, but it's okay. It's good enough. So, articulation-wise, I guess I'll technically rate it 8 out of 10. Other than the shoulders not working, it's pretty good. And so it's time for the final verdict. Is it worth buying? Yeah, definitely, I think so. Maybe. Typically speaking, these sets have gone down in price. They've been discounted because people didn't buy them. However, the previous ones weren't Professor Xavier in his chair, so I wouldn't necessarily use that as a guide. I think maybe you're better off just buying it. I think it's worth buying it at the price point that it's sold at because it's Professor Xavier, and they did a good enough job with it. So I'm going to recommend it at that price point. At that price point, I'm going to give it an overall 8 out of 10. I think they did a pretty good job where they could have done a lot worse, even though they could have done a little bit better. I'm pleased, and I think you guys will be too. So don't worry about it going on discount. It's not worth the risk. Just go ahead and get it now, and I think you'll be happy. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, or if you're not, I have thousands of other videos for you to check out, mostly reviews to help you save money, or to help you spend money, or to help you just know more about what you're buying. So check those out. I have tons of playlists. It's fun to do this, and I have new videos up just about every single day, so make sure you come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.